Hi everyone, I am here with a story, a true story from our book. This one is by Verda J. Glick, and it is called Jesus Played With Me. Armed robbers hid behind our house last evening. Our son Paul said when I answered the telephone early one morning. His voice sounded strained. They jumped out at us when we got home after dark. They ordered me to unlock the door, forced their way into the house with us, and made us sit down under guard while they ransacked the house. "Oh no, Paul, no, I'm so sorry. Did they hurt you?" "No, Mama, but they stole our money, computer, camera, and other things. I couldn't call you sooner because they stole our phones. I waited until daylight to go to a neighbor to borrow a phone to call you. Geneva and I hardly slept last night. My eyes filled with tears, all too familiar with the trauma of armed robberies. My husband and I had hoped our children would be spared. Now Paul and his family had been targeted too. It hurt much worse when it happened to us. Paul and his wife Geneva live on a small farm in El Salvador with their son and daughter, 5-year-old Jacinito and 2-year-old Kenia. Paul serves as director of the church choir. The family had returned to their home after choir practice the previous evening. That's when the robbers assaulted them. I brushed away the tears that kept coming. "Do you think they're the same robbers who's been coming here to rob us?" I asked, trying to control the tremor in my voice. "Yes, it really does seem like the same bunch. The appearance of these men matches your description of the ones who have been robbing you. The way they forced their way into the house and made us sit under guard while they ransacked the house sounds like what you've experienced lately." Concern for our young grandchildren seized me. "Are the children all right?" "Yes, they're okay. Kenia doesn't seem too upset. I don't think she understood what was happening. What about Chiquito?" "He fell asleep on the way home, and he slept through the whole thing. We had to leave him sleeping outside in the pickup when the robbers ordered him to unlock the house." I gasped. "Oh, how awful. Aren't you afraid to do that?" "Yes, it was terribly hard to leave Chiquito out there all that time, but the men forced Geneva, Kenia, and me to go inside and with them and leave Chiquito in the truck. Fortunately, he didn't wake up. It took the men about 30 minutes to search our house and gather all the things they wanted to take. Finally, when the robbers left, I went out, picked up Chiquito, and put him in bed. He kept on sleeping. I'm really glad he didn't wake up to see the men and their guns." "Yes, that's good," I agreed. "He would have been very frightened, such a sensitive child. Let's try never to talk about the incident to Chiquito's hearing. Geneva and I hoped he won't find out and worry about it, but Chiquito did find out, and he did worry. 'Daddy, the bad men won't come tonight, will they?' he would ask each night when darkness fell. Even on warm nights, Chiquito covered himself completely with a sheet, pulling it up over his head in order to feel safer. 'God, don't let the bad men come tonight,' he prayed night after night. Afraid of the dark, he always wanted a nightlight by his bed." I can relate to this so much. I'll tell you guys about it when this is over. I've never told anybody about this. In the daytime, his fear of robbers dominated his play. "Here come the bad men with their guns. They're going to shoot. Call the police. Oh, here come the police. The bad men are running away." Weeks passed. Chiquito kept playing out his imaginary cops and robbers games. He kept asking if the bad men would come, and he kept praying that God would keep the robbers away. One morning, 2 months after the robbery, Chiquito ran out of his bedroom. "Mommy," he called. "I heard a noise, so I stood on my bed and looked out the window. I saw angels." The bad men were scared and ran away." Geneva paused, and she set a table for breakfast. "That was a nice dream you had, Chiquito," she said. "No, Mommy," Chiquito insisted. "It wasn't a dream. I was awake. The bad men made a noise and woke me up. It was not a dream. I saw lots and lots of angels in the yard." "What did they look like?" "They wore bright, shiny clothes, and they had big knives, much bigger than the bad men's knives. The bad men were afraid of the angels, and they ran away fast." Chiquito's eyes shone with excitement. "Mommy, one of the angels stood on the power line. The rest stood in the yard with their big knives." Swords. I've seen them. He pointed toward heaven. "Then they all went up." She shook their head. "It sounds like a dream." "No, Mommy, it wasn't a dream. It was real." Then Jesus came right through the door. Chiquito pointed to the closed front door. "He didn't open it. He just came through it. He talked with me, and he played with me. He was so nice. I really liked playing with him. He told me he'll come back again." Chiquito still talks about bad men, and he still plays games of cops and chasing robbers, but he doesn't cover his head at night anymore, and darkness has stopped being scary. One night recently, when returning from choir practice, Geneva explained, "Oh dear, I forgot to turn on the front porch light before we left home. We'll have to go inside in the dark." Chiquito said, "Oh, Mommy, why are you always so afraid of the dark?" After all, he knows God's angels stand on guard. They have big knives, and the bad men are afraid of them. And Jesus is his friend, and is always very near. I 100% believe that. When I was younger, when we were kids, we stayed at my granny's a lot. We lived with my granny a lot, my mom and me and my sister. And our neighbor that lived next door to us, she came over one morning, all shook it up, all scared and everything. They were robbed the night before, and it was like really bad. They held them all night long, and they were like going to rape her and everything, but thankfully they didn't. There was like 3 guys, and they took a bunch of stuff, and she made them food and everything. She was really nice to them, you know. It was like really bad, and she was like scared to death. They had came earlier that day and asked for some gas. They said they had ran out of gas, and they had given them gas, and then they came back that night and robbed them. And it was really scary. They didn't leave till early morning, and told them, you know, not to go nowhere or call anybody. And then they waited a long time before they left, you know, to make sure that they were gone. And they came over, and I was scared ever since then that somebody was going to break in. I slept with a knife under my pillow, and nobody ever knew about it when I was a kid for the longest time, and I always had to have a night light. I still sleep with the light on. I still gotta have a light on. I still have a fear of somebody breaking in every night. I try not to have that fear, but it's still there. No matter where we move to, I still always have that fear and have bad dreams. And I think that's where it started from, when that happened. When she came over and she was all shook up and was telling us about what happened, about them being robbed. I was scared to death ever since. But I hope you guys enjoyed the story, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your night.